for those of you who haven't heard, earlier today, actually, Colorado State head coach Jay Norvell made comments during a press conference in regards to how Deion Sanders conducts himself in press conferences. Jay Norvell basically was making comments about how Deion Sanders wears sunglasses and a hat during press conference. And I'll just read the quote real quick that Jay Norvell said. He said, and I quote, "I don't care if they hear this in Boulder. I told them," referring to ESPN, "I took my hat off and I took my glasses off. I said when I talk to grown-ups, I take my hat off and my glasses off. That's what my mother taught me." And of course, he knew that those comments were going to make it back to Boulder, Colorado. And obviously, Deion got wind of those comments and he responded and such. And I quote, "I'm minding my own business, watching some film." By the way, he's speaking to his team in practice during this quote. "I'm minding my own business, watching some film, trying to get ready, trying to get out here and be the best coach that I could be. And I look up and I read some bull junk that they had said about us. Once again," Sanders told the team, "why would you want to talk about us when we don't talk about nobody? All we do is go out here, work our butts off, and do our job on Saturday. But when they give us ammunition, they didn't mess around and made it personal. It was just gonna be a good game, and they didn't mess around and made it personal. It was gonna be a great task, a battle of Colorado, but they didn't mess around and made it personal." And yeah, then that's where we're at right now with those comments. But we can break. We'll talk about the football side of it in our next segment when we break down the matchup between Colorado and Colorado State. But I want to talk about this on a more macro level in terms of how to handle adversity or how to handle criticism or vitriol that you might receive when you experience success or you're moving to a different stage of your life. Things like this are going to occur, and we as individuals, we have to be comfortable with experiencing and receiving this level of scrutiny when it's unwarranted, right? And how we respond to it is a direct reflection of how we view ourselves. An old quote goes that the lions don't mess around with the doings of hyenas. And basically that means that, as a lion, as a leader, as the epitome and embodiment of how you view yourself in terms of success and being the best version of yourself, you can't allocate your time, or you can't give your time to people who are, quote unquote, beneath you in terms of how they, how they view themselves. And you can't give that time and energy to people that aren't worth it and that don't matter, essentially. And as a life lesson, we have to understand that and understand what we're putting our energy towards and what we are allowing to take our thoughts away from the goal in the process. And we can't allow anything to steer ourselves off the path of success of where we need to be. And it's important to be able to understand that and be able to grasp that as we move forward in life, because it's always going to be distractions. There's always going to be people that say things that try to deter us, but we have to understand that that's just a manifestation of their insecurities, and we can't allow their insecurities to dictate how we move and how we operate. But when it comes to football, it comes to this matchup, obviously it's going to be used as cannon fodder for the Buffaloes for Colorado. And looking at it, I'm sure that Jay Norvell used these comments more so as a way to galvanize his team, right, and to give them a little spark and boost the energy. But this tells me that if you have to do all this, make comments like this, and the comments aren't bad, there's nothing wrong with the comments, but if he has to make comments like this, then he's worried that his team won't be up to the task of playing up against the Colorado team. And this Colorado team, And that's what that tells me. And that tells me all that I kind of really need to know how the game is going to go. But obviously we'll cover the breakdown of the game in the next segment. But, then also another way to look at this and view this is are we saying what we're saying about other people, is it from a place of insecurity, or is it from a place of genuine criticism? And oftentimes what we see in others and what we choose to see in others is a direct reflection of how we view ourselves. So we notice that people that are pessimistic are lean towards the pessimistic side of the spectrum, and people that always find ways to look for the faults or the deficiencies in others tend to be the ones that are the least confident and have the least level of positive imagery about themselves. And if we notice that people that are, I won't necessarily optimistic, but optimistic, yes, in a sense, and also tend to look for the positives in others and tend to see the good things that others can do or can be, they tend to have a positive outlook on themselves. And so that's why I say that what people see in others is a direct reflection of them. They're choosing what they want to see, and that's how those insecurities can manifest. And I want to use these comments, on a more macro level, use it as a framing device to talk about this topic, because I think it's something that we all struggle with, not just in the sporting world, not just athletes, but everyone. Everyone in this life struggles with that. But being able to have that level of self-awareness and say to ourselves, okay, how I'm viewing this person, is that just a reflection of me and my insecurities, or am I making an accurate assumption or an accurate analysis? And we have to, look and see where the comments and statements we make, where they're coming from. And what you tend to notice is that, people that are positive and are confident in themselves, either one, tend to make less comments about other people, or two, when they do make comments or, speak on other people, it's normally either in a positive light, or they try to steer away from speaking negatively about the individual unless it's warranted. So yeah, these are just things that we should think about moving forward, and things that we should understand as we move about in life, and how we view other people and how we interact with other people, that these things all pop up. But I just wanted to use these comments made by Jay Norvell as a framing device to talk about this topic right here. But with that being said, guys, let's actually break down the actual matchup between Colorado and Colorado State. So we're going to do that in our next segment, so be sure to stick around, guys. You are not going to want to miss it.